Okay, so today's video is going to be all about the note of Mimosa. And this is a note that was neither on my, I pretty recently put up a video about my favorite notes and my least favorite notes. And Mimosa is a note that hasn't been on either of these lists. And it's been one of those notes I've never really kind of paid attention to it. I haven't been looking for it. I haven't really had an opinion about whether I like it or not. What is it even? But during this last year, I've kind of gotten to know this note and it's grown on me. And I now know what mimosa smells like. Mimosa is like in season in the early summer. So I actually went and bought mimosa and just kind of like got to know it by itself. And I have now pulled out a few bottles in my collection now that has this note, and or that have this note, and also one that I don't have but would like to own that has this note. So there's a list of 8 fragrances that I'd like to talk about and how I've kind of been able to, or taught myself how to identify what is mimosa actually. But I'll start by describing a little bit about this note and what it smells like. I mean, it's considered like a yellow floral note. I mean, it is a yellow flower. I don't know, sometimes you see them in flower shops, at least here in Sweden, like in the early, I think late spring, like May maybe. And they're very like, they're not like big flowers, they're like many, many small flowers. And I think that they dry really nicely. I think I've seen them like dried and they look pretty good. But the smell, when you just put your nose on them, it's kind of like a real subtle, soft, slightly sweet, kind of pollen-y smell. It doesn't smell anything like a lily, like a strong floral note. It's more like a soft, I mean, I can see now why they use it in fragrance. It kind of gives off a powdery, slightly fruity, maybe, smell, but with some really subtle and soft sweetness. It's really hard to describe it actually, but I have some fragrances here with this note, and we'll start from the top. One of these fragrances, I bought this. This is Angelique from Papillon. I bought this because it's an iris fragrance. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it does have mimosa in it, but this is very. And I've been on the verge of selling this. I put up like a price tag on there for some perfume meetup, but now I've decided to keep it, and I'm happy that I did because it has really grown on me, and maybe it's because of the mimosa. I mean, it doesn't smell like a straight up iris. It has something more, it's very powdery, and I mean, iris goes off powdery as well, but it's something that sweetens it up, but this is also a very earthy fragrance. I'm not sure what the notes are that create this earthiness, but like, I would think that maybe it has something kind of like carrot seed or something like that in here. This fragrance, I would say, is not for everyone. It's a little bit on the difficult side, but last time I wore it and gave it a full wearing, I really, really enjoyed it. And it radiates off the skin for hours and hours, and it has that, it's like semi-sweet. And I think the pollen does, or not the pollen, the mimosa does kind of gives this one its special characteristic. It's not a straight up iris. Like there are a lot of irises that are kind of like, it's an iris fragrance, but it has like a little hint of something else. This is not like that. I mean, I'm thinking about like Iris de Syracuse, Infusioned Iris, Splend Iris, Iris Silver Mist. I mean, so many iris, it's like, oh, this is iris, but this is more like mimosa is playing a part just as big as the iris in this one, Angelique from Papillon. That was that one. Then I have 2 fragrances that especially features the note of iris. It's even in the title. It's Mimosa Gold from Exaltatum and Mimosa and Cardamom from Jo Malone. And Exaltatum is, the perfumer's name is like, God, I'm going to butcher her name now. God, I looked it up like right before I was going to film this video. Eglia, I think. Vaitkevich or something. She's Eastern European. She works out of London. And these are, I mean, for us in Sweden to shop from the UK, since they're not in the European Union, is really pricey because they have to add like customs or tax or whatever. And I'm so glad they have these little 15 mil. I got a hold of this secondhand. But I came across this house at a perfume expo like a year ago. I think it was like November last year. And I had a spray on my arm and I came home and I'm like, wait a minute, what was this? And I realized it was this, and I just was so bummed that I had not bought a bottle, because I think she did have some kind of like a special price because of the expo. Um, this has, I mean, it has mimosa, but it also has a very special kind of almondy note in here, and honey, and probably some other florals as well. But this almondy note reminds me of a special kind of glue that was very common here in Sweden, like a little paper glue. It came in this little green jar with a white lid, and then they gave you like this little kind of looked like like a wooden ice cream spoon, completely flat, that you could kind of like use as a little kind of spatula thing. And it has that glue feeling, but in a good way. That sounds really strange, I understand that, but this is slightly powdery, a little bit honey-like. It's so good. I've actually forgotten to wear it. This is quite sweet, but not too sweet to my nose. Okay, and then there's Mimosa Cardamom that I've only gotten for one reason, and it is that it reminds me so much of my grandfather. And my grandfather was a really tall, kind of an Irish style man with really beautiful white hair that was always so put together. Like would wear like a really crispy white shirt that was freshly ironed, not by himself, but my grandmother. Always well shaved, and he wore aftershave, always polo, the green one, and perfectly shined shoes. And he smelled just like this. You would give him a hug and like you would get the smell of this. And to me, I can't like pick out like mimosa and cardamom out of this. It's kind of like, it's nostalgia. I just can smell like one smell. That's my grandfather, but it's maybe it's a little bit of the laundry detergent that they used combined with a little bit of that like aftershave that's been on skin for a while. Maybe I can't even say what. Maybe some of the florals that grow around Northern California, perhaps. It's such a great fragrance. But now that I know mimosa, I can kind of smell that it's in here. It gives it like a non-transparent quality, like a powdery floral quality to it. Highly recommend to get your nose on that if that sounds interesting to you. Then I have kind of a new, this is a tester bottle that I got a hold of last summer. It came with some other purchases I made with the notes on the side. And among the heart notes is mimosa. This one I would say I wouldn't be able to tell that this had mimosa in it. It's more about the rose and violet and peony, I think, in this one. And let's see, the top notes are mandarin and pink pepper. This one reminds me a lot of Estee Lauder's Pleasures, but kind of a niche version. It's cute. I don't know if I absolutely love it, but it was interesting to see how more and more mimosa fragrances have been coming my way. I thought that was interesting. I've kind of not really paid attention to it before. And then I have 3 fragrances here. I'll start with these 2 from the house of Zoologist. I have Bee and I have Moth. And Bee is here you can really tell, mimosa has a very big place in this fragrance. It's kind of with that special royal jelly, kind of bee waxy kind of note, honey and mimosa. But the mimosa makes it it's not like a heavy honey fragrance. It's like a kind of fluffy, yellow floral, powdery honey fragrance. And I think that's because of the mimosa. Highly recommend it. Very nice wear, especially in summer. And then there's Moth, which is, I've only worn this once. And I just sprayed it right before I started recording, so I have like a 5-7 minute dry down. Or I can see now I've been filming for 9 minutes, so maybe it's a 12-minute dry down. And it's a little odd. I mean, I can see these people that say that, it smells like an old cupboard, has all these cupboard spices like, nutmeg and saffron maybe, and cloves. I don't know which ones, but, and then there's a bunch of florals, and then it probably has some woody notes. So someone says it smells a little bit like old books in an attic. It for sure is a fragrance that tells a story. Like it has, I would call this like a conceptual fragrance. I would never wear this like to go on a job interview or to meet someone for the first time. It would more be like I'm home, I'm on the couch, I'm drinking a cup of tea. I want to get to know a new fragrance and just have like a little experience of some sort. And can I smell the mimosa in this? Yeah, maybe actually. It's a little bit that fluffy thing that kind of is going on in the background. It kind of gives like a nice, I think it's in the heart notes, but now that I look for it, this is actually a good way. Like you focus on one note at a time and then you bring out fragrances, or this is what I do. I think this is fun. Bring out fragrances that have this special note, and then your nose can like hunt for it and look for kind of like the common denominator among these fragrances. In Journey Woman from Amouage, I think it's more clear, the mimosa in here, because this, it really has that powdery quality, kind of like in a, as opposed to transparent and watery fragrance, this is more of a cloudy, powdery fragrance. I mean, this is a Middle Eastern style, typical Amouage fragrance that features the note of osmanthus. That's kind of the main note, but it definitely has mimosa up there right next to it. It's heavy. This is really sweet and heavy. But it gives a great wearing experience. But sometimes I find that some of these really sweet fragrances are like right off the top. The sweetness really sticks to the top. Like, I don't know what it is that makes it this sweet, but it's really sweet off the top. And I have another sweet fragrance that I'm just going to tell you about that it has really grown on me. I've got one more fragrance, by the way, on this mimosa list, but I'm just going to tell you about this fragrance in my collection that I thought was going to be difficult, but that has turned out to be a great wearing experience, and it is 1992 Purple Night. The juice is bright red. It comes from the house Le Bain Gerbois. Gerbois, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, if it's Gerbois or Gerbois, I'm not sure. But it's created by Bertrand de Chafour, and it's a tuberose fragrance with tobacco and some suede. It's like, it has a little bit of a smoky undertone. And it's a little bit like, first you just feel, oh boy, this is going to be challenging. But once those real tops, those sugary tops, when it goes almost too sweet, have started to settle into the skin, it really is super satisfying. Like, it really, maybe I did mention this in my previous video, because I think I talked about it when I was talking about Traversée de Bosphore, because that one has kind of a similar sweet quality that I think will really kind of settle in nicely on the skin. But I know for a fact that 1992 Purple Night does, and I thought this was a fragrance that I might get rid of, but now that I've worn it and have experienced what a great fragrance it is, it's going to be in my collection. And I'm so happy that I have now like a tuberose that I really, really like. I mean, I still want Moon Bloom and maybe tuberose gardenia, maybe a few more tuberoses from my collection. But now maybe I'll start making a little mimosa corner in my collection now that I have some different mimosas. So it's just fun. It's a fun way to learn. Because on my wish list was also Ashoka by Neela Vermeire. I always struggle with this. Vermeire Creations. Also a, no, did I say Bertrand de Chafour had made 1992 Purple Night? I think it's not him. I think it's Dominique Ropion. It's either one of the two. I'm not sure. I'll have to, as soon as I stop recording, I'm going to go check. But Ashoka, definitely Bertrand de Chafour. It's a really nice fig fragrance that has these florals. It has incense. It has so many interesting layers going on. And mimosa is a note also in that one. And I love that fragrance. And it's the only problem I have with it is the price. And the fact that I can't get a hold of it in Sweden, which means that I have to pay like shipping. And no one really talks about this fragrance. Nobody's selling it secondhand. It's never on sale. You know, I'm not gonna, but it also has the note of mimosa, interestingly enough. I just kind of noticing this note like coming at me in different fragrances that I've started to like. So I just thought I'd throw together a little video all about this note. Do you have fragrances to recommend with this note? What have I missed out on? I know that L'Artisan Parfumeur has something with mimosa that I want to look into next time I encounter this house. But I don't know of any like favorites or that I heard from a friend that this used to be a really, really popular style. And it was a trend for a while. Like everyone was talking about mimosa fragrances, and now maybe not so much. But I'm thinking maybe you have been in this hobby for longer than I have, and maybe have some good ones on your shelves to recommend. So please let me know. Okay, that was all for today.